They say love is rare, fragile, a moment that changes everything. But I never thought my moment would destroy 3 lives, mine, hers, and his. My name is Lily Carter, and I was born in Portland, Oregon, a quiet, dreamy city wrapped in rain and coffee-scented mornings. I was the kind of girl who believed in perfect endings. Books, movies, everything taught me that love, when found, fixes everything. But life doesn't follow a script. Sometimes, love walks into your life wearing the wrong name tag. It started during my sophomore year at Columbia University. I met Ethan Miller, a transfer student from Chicago, tall, calm, and dangerously kind. He had that quiet confidence that didn't need to shout. I was drawn to it, not in an instant, but like rain soaking through old fabric. Slowly, deeply. We became friends first, late-night library talks, coffee runs, and random walks across the Brooklyn Bridge. I didn't realize it, but every small moment was rewriting my heart. But here's the cruel irony, when love starts quietly, it also ends silently. My best friend, Ava Thompson, entered the picture that same semester. We were roommates, inseparable, more like sisters. She was everything I wasn't: loud, magnetic, spontaneous. People gravitated toward her. And when she met Ethan for the first time, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Something I ignored, because why would I doubt my best friend? Ava started hanging out with us more often. Study sessions turned into movie nights turned into long drives. It was perfect, until it wasn't. One night, Ethan dropped me home after a late-night study group. I was tired, so I just smiled and said, "Good night." As I climbed the stairs to our apartment, I saw Ava on the balcony, phone in her hand, whispering softly, smiling in a way I'd only seen her smile once before. That night, something in my chest cracked, not enough to hurt, but enough to warn. I didn't know it then, but that was the start of our unraveling. I wish love had warning signs. Something that says, turn back before it's too late. But it doesn't. It lures you in quietly, then shatters you when you least expect it. After that night, little things started changing. Ethan would text Ava first in the morning, not me. When we studied together, she'd laugh at jokes I didn't hear. And sometimes, when I caught them looking at each other, it felt like I'd walked into someone else's story, a story that used to be mine. I kept telling myself I was overthinking. Ava was my best friend. Ethan cared about me. I was just tired, right? Just stressed. But the truth doesn't disappear just because you pretend it isn't there. Weeks passed. One Friday evening, Ava suggested a small weekend trip, just the 3 of us. "Let's go to Lake Placid," she said, "we need a break." I smiled and agreed, pretending it sounded fun. Inside, my chest tightened. Something about the way she said, "we" made me feel like an extra in my own life. The weekend came. The lake was calm, the air cold. We rented a tiny wooden cabin, 1 bedroom, 2 beds. The first night, we sat by the fire, laughing, drinking cocoa, sharing stories. It almost felt normal again, until I woke up at 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep, so I went outside for air. Through the half-open cabin window, I heard voices, soft, low, trembling. I froze. It was Ethan. And Ava. He said her name the way he used to say mine. She whispered, "What about Lily?" He paused. Then, "I don't want to hurt her, but I can't keep pretending." I dropped the mug in my hand. It shattered against the porch floor, echoing louder than my heartbeat. They rushed out, eyes wide, faces pale. Ethan tried to speak, but I couldn't hear a word. My hands were shaking. Ava reached for me, but I stepped back. I didn't scream, didn't cry, just whispered, "How long?" Neither of them answered. And that silence told me everything. The drive back home was unbearable. No one spoke. The radio played, the trees blurred by. I stared out the window, counting seconds till it ended. That night, I packed Ethan's letters, the photos, the bracelet he gave me, everything, and threw them in a box. But I didn't throw it away. I kept it. Maybe because some part of me still hoped that one day, he'd come back, and I could forgive him, but he didn't come back. Instead, 2 weeks later, they posted their first photo together. Smiling. Hand in hand. The caption said, "Found what feels like home." And I realized, my home was gone. Heartbreak doesn't kill you all at once. It kills you in pieces. Every morning when you wake up and remember what's missing. Every night when silence feels heavier than sleep. After Ethan and Ava made it official, campus felt smaller, colder. Everywhere I turned, they were there, holding hands in the cafeteria, laughing in the library where we once sat together. People whispered, but not to me. They pitied me, and pity was worse than pain. I stopped going to classes for a while. I deleted my social media, stopped answering calls. But pain has this strange way of turning into fuel when you've got nothing else to burn. One night, I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't recognize the girl staring back. Her eyes weren't sad anymore. They were sharp, steady. That was the night I promised myself something. I wouldn't chase love anymore. I'd chase truth. So I started watching them. Not obsessively, just enough to understand. Ethan's smile was different now, forced, almost guilty. Ava looked happy, yes, but also anxious, like she was constantly waiting for something to go wrong. And something was going wrong. A few weeks later, Ethan started skipping classes again. Rumors spread that he was under stress. Ava tried to hide it, but I saw the cracks. Then one afternoon, while sitting in the university cafe, I overheard a conversation that changed everything. Point two of Ethan's friends were talking, quietly, but not quietly enough. They said Ethan had been seeing someone before Ava, and that someone was still texting him. The name on their lips wasn't mine. It was someone else entirely. At that moment, everything clicked. Ethan didn't betray me for Ava, he betrayed us both. He wasn't in love. He was just collecting hearts like souvenirs. I didn't want revenge at first. But then I thought of every sleepless night, every tear I hid, every time I believed his lies. And slowly, revenge didn't sound so wrong anymore. So I did something I never thought I could. I became someone else. I created a new social account, fake name, fake city, fake everything. The kind of girl Ethan couldn't resist, confident, mysterious, broken in the right ways. I started messaging him. At first, it was casual. Then personal. Then emotional. He didn't recognize me, how could he? I didn't sound like Lily anymore. I was colder, wiser. And just like that, he fell. For weeks, I played him like a story he thought he was writing. He confessed things to me he never said to Ava. He said he missed something real, something pure. I almost laughed reading that. Then one night, he asked to meet. I said yes. We met at a quiet cafe downtown. He didn't even realize who I was until I sat across from him, took off my sunglasses, and smiled. For a second, he froze. Then whispered, "Lily." I nodded. And before he could speak, I said, "You keep saying you want something real. So here I am, real enough to haunt you." He didn't have an answer. But his silence was enough. That night, I left without looking back. I didn't ruin his reputation. I didn't expose him. I didn't scream. I just left him with the weight of what he'd done. But I didn't know my revenge had only just begun. I thought I was done. I thought walking away meant freedom. But the truth doesn't leave you just because you stop looking back. It hides inside your chest, waiting for the right moment to break you again. A month passed. I was trying to move on, new classes, new faces, pretending to be fine. Then one morning, I woke up to a message from Ava. Just 3 words, "Can we talk?" At first, I ignored it. Then she sent another. "It's important." Part of me didn't want to listen. But another part, the part that still remembered our late-night talks, our secrets, our laughter, couldn't ignore her. So I agreed to meet. We met at a quiet park near the river, the same place where we'd once spent hours dreaming about life after college. But this time, there was no laughter. Only silence. Ava looked different. Tired. Pale. She didn't say hello. She just looked at me and said, "You were right about him." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. She took a deep breath and started talking, fast, trembling, like she'd been holding it in for too long. She told me Ethan had been distant for weeks, ignoring her messages, avoiding her calls. Then one night, he confessed, he'd been talking to another girl online. Someone who understood him better. My stomach twisted. That someone was me. Ava didn't know, of course. She cried as she told me he had left town without saying goodbye. He just disappeared, deleted his accounts, blocked her everywhere. She said she didn't hate me, she hated herself for falling for the same lies I did. I watched her cry, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I felt guilt. Because I realized something, in trying to make Ethan pay, I'd made her suffer again. She whispered, "Lily, do you ever wish we could go back? Before all this?" And I wanted to say yes. But the truth was, we couldn't. We were too far gone. After she left, I sat by the river alone. The water looked peaceful, but beneath the surface, it moved fast, unstoppable. Just like us. Days passed. Rumors started again. Someone said Ethan had been in a car accident outside Chicago. No one knew for sure. Then, one evening, I got a letter. No return address. Just my name written in his handwriting. Inside was a single page. It said, "I never wanted to hurt either of you. But I think I was already broken before I met you. If you ever forgive me, look at the stars. I'll be somewhere up there, wishing I could have loved you better." I read it over and over, until the ink blurred with my tears. That night, I went back to the lake where it all fell apart. I threw the letter in the water and watched it float away. Maybe forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Maybe it just means finally letting go. But just as I turned to leave, my phone buzzed. It was from Ava. A photo. It was Ethan. Smiling. Alive. I stared at my phone for minutes that felt like hours. The photo Ava sent was blurry, taken from a distance, but it was him. Ethan. Standing outside a bookstore in Seattle. Smiling. My hands started shaking. I didn't know what to feel, anger, relief, confusion, everything collided at once. I called Ava immediately, but she didn't answer. So I packed my bag, got in my car, and drove. 6 hours straight. No music. No thoughts. Just the road, rain, and the ghost of a love that refused to die. When I reached Seattle, the bookstore was closed. I waited outside in my car till morning. And when the doors opened, he walked out, alive, calm, wearing the same jacket he wore the last time I saw him. I stepped forward. He froze. For a second, the world went silent. Then he whispered, "Lily, you shouldn't be here. I laughed, a broken, disbelieving laugh. You're alive, Ethan. Everyone thinks you're dead. He looked away. Maybe it's better that way. I demanded answers. He sighed, then finally told me the truth, a truth so twisted it didn't even sound real. He said after everything that happened, he couldn't face either of us. He left town, changed his number, deleted everything. But then, one night, he got a message from a fake account, someone pretending to be a new girl. He fell for her. He said she reminded him of me. And then he realized, it was me. He found out before I met him at that cafe. He knew the whole time. My heart stopped. Then why did you play along? I asked. He said, because I wanted you to see what it feels like to be lied to, and still love anyway. I didn't know whether to hate him, or thank him for being honest. He looked broken, but calm, like a man who had accepted his punishment. He whispered, I came here to start over. Alone. No more games. I nodded slowly, stepped closer and said, then this time, I'll let you. I turned around and walked away. For the first time, I didn't look back. A week later, I got another message, not from Ethan, not from Ava. It was from a stranger. The message said, you don't know me, but Ethan Miller was my brother. He passed away last night in Seattle. Heart failure. I found your name in his journal. I didn't cry this time. I just stared at the message, numb. Maybe he really did get his piece. Maybe he really did love us, in his own broken way. That night, I went to the rooftop of my apartment, looked up at the stars, and whispered, I forgive you. The sky was quiet. But somehow, I felt lighter. And then, my phone buzzed again, one last message. No number. Just words. I'm glad you finally did. The screen flickered. And went black. Maybe love doesn't die. Maybe it just changes form, becomes memory, pain, or light in the sky. Whatever it was, it finally let me go.